got one person in here. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Live stream, hanging out. Friday night. It's cold as hell in New York. It's snowing. Alright. So, definitely leave a comment to say hello, but I just wanted to hang out tonight and shoot the shit. Nothing super special I wanted to address, but I'll wait to get some more people in here. Hey, what's up, man? How's it going? Where are you, DC? Yeah, the whole East Coast, I think, got hit with some snow recently. Yeah, I think we got about a foot over the past few days. We got a bunch today, and I think 2 days ago we got some. But it's actually kind of nice. I don't mind it. The wind has died down a little bit, so that definitely helps. But I don't mind it at all. What's DC like these days? Is everyone not so much snow there? Is that what you're saying? Let me get this camera to work. So what is it exactly that you do down there? Is it something in real estate? Phone's falling off this ghetto platform that I made. Rehab loans. I know very little about real estate. I think I did a little bit of studying to get the real estate license here in New York, probably about 8 years ago now, and fiduciary loyalty and all these terms just went right over my head. Became pretty difficult to get into. But so what's the overall atmosphere in DC? Is it like, if you go to a bar, do you have your sort of younger kind of yuppie bars and more of a liberal vibe, and then maybe you have your older dive bars with a little more sort of conservative people? I'm assuming that's how it is. It's kind of how it is here, but you have a lot more young bars, younger people, more liberal people there. Mostly go and see live music. Nice. What kind of music do you like? Favorite bands? UK bands, like who? Trying to do the Arctic Monkeys. I know they're from the UK. Love Slaves and Royal Blood? That sounds terrifying. Stereophonics, okay. I haven't heard them. I've been listening to like the same 10 bands since I was 12, pretty much. I should probably diversify a little bit at some point. Yeah. Have you ever been to Real Clear Politics? Have you ever done that? realclearpolitics.com. They do a compilation of different, both conservative and liberal websites with. They compile different articles from each site. It's pretty cool. It's a good way to sort of get a well-rounded viewpoint on what's going on in the world, I think, a little bit. Yeah, where'd you come out on the test? Did you end up far right-wing fascist? Exactly on the middle for libertarian, but with family. Oh, this thing won't show the comments all the time. Live chat. But maybe you're like maybe you're more like me, sort of socially liberal, but fiscally conservative. I don't know. I wouldn't say fiscally conservative necessarily, but socially liberal to say the least. But it's definitely important this day and age to try not to blanket any subject that you're trying to make an analysis on with your preconceived bias or notion. Like, if you hear some news, take a second to sit and try and think about it objectively for a little while before immediately assuming that you're right or wrong, depending on whether or not the subject at hand falls in line with your bias. Everyone's biased. Everyone's a little bit biased. It's kind of like that Avenue Q song, everyone's a little bit racist, except everyone's a little bit biased. Facts. But yeah, is there anything in the news that's been striking to you recently? Conservative with money stuff, but after living in the city so long, you get pretty strong. Yeah, that's right. I agree with that. Alabama rocked, meaning in not voting for Roy Moore. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a good guy. When you have someone conservative like Ben Shapiro coming out and saying that Roy Moore, that the allegations are credible and that I guess it's been going on for a while. It's not entirely easy to discount his accusers. I heard something about him being in Vietnam with a buddy of his, and I guess they happened to stumble into a brothel, and a lot of the prostitutes there were underage, and according to his, you grew up down south and he sucks. Yeah, according to his friend, who when recently interviewed was arguing for Roy Moore. His defense of Roy Moore was that when they were in this brothel and there were all these underage girls around, that they left. Oh yeah, that makes sense. So you just happened to be in a brothel. You stumbled in a brothel on accident, and you didn't go through with, screwing any little kids. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, all those accusations are now obviously full of shit. What's up from Sweden? Skål, Sweden. Sverige. Where in Sweden are you from? Malmo, Stockholm, Gothenburg. Västerås, I think is a place. Västerås. Reminds me of Westeros. I actually think it's kind of the same thing, if I'm not mistaken. Swedish person. Orebro. Okay. Close to Orebro. I'm gonna look that shit up, man. Orebro. Sweden is very PC to say the least. Yeah, so I've heard. You have a new, if I'm not mistaken, you have a new prime minister or president or whatever the title of the head of state in Sweden is, the female. Am I right? No, I'm thinking of Iceland. Iceland, different Scandinavian country. Yeah, Iceland has this new PM, this new prime minister, and I think she said something like, she said something to the effect of more men drive cars, and that's sexist against women or something like that. I'm probably way off there, but yeah, was it Iceland? I don't know. Someone in the comments tell me, because I just googled Iceland prime minister, and it's not the woman I'm thinking of. Oh, okay. All right. It is Iceland. Katrín Jacob's daughter. The daughter of Jacob. Yeah, she's 41. So quite young. She's part of the left green movement. Probably sounds like what it is. Yeah, she said some really interesting things recently. Let's see here. Paris Climate Summit, She's an environmentalist. Okay, I mean, whatever. I'm all for that. Let's see. She wants to exceed goals of Paris Agreement. Yeah, I'm all for the environmentalism. Sure, just you gotta regulate certain things. I think, right? I don't know. Looking for a bright spot, says Women's Agenda. Iceland's new prime minister. Socialist, feminist, anti-militarist. All right. Sweden is very PC. I'd still say that Iceland is saner than Sweden, though. Yeah? How so? How is that? I'd love for you to explain, because I know that... Well, I don't think... I mean, Iceland, there's a huge ocean, so as far as immigration goes, you're not going to get a lot of Somalis choosing to go to Iceland. But how is Sweden less sane than Iceland at the moment? Definitely want to hear about that, for sure. But yeah, this lady... Trump's victory in the presidential election was crossing it. Blah, 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 blah. So this is her quote. All of us women, every single one of us, has a litany of memories we keep tucked away in our brain of moments where we had to deal with misogyny and keep going. Some of us have more than others, but every woman has them, from being frightened of walking home alone after dark to being catcalled to much worse. Okay. I don't think I would deny any of that, but where is that playing a role into your politics? I mean, what it seems like to me is, unless Iceland has this rampant problem of sexism, misogyny, rape, whatever other problems, if that doesn't apply to your politics, you're just virtue signaling to get votes. That's what it seems like to me. Everyone says that the immigrants are out of control in Sweden. Yeah, I'd like to hear from the Swedish guy that's in here, or a Swedish girl, or Z or Z or whatever your pronouns are. Go ahead and let me know your pronouns so I can make note of that. It's not illegal to travel to Syria and fight for ISIS. A connection to ISIS is not proof enough to sentence anyone. Yeah, okay. So, now, I do try and play devil's advocate here. It's going to be hard to do on this one. But Could it have something to do with ISIS not declaring Sweden the enemy of the their sworn enemy or something like that? Could it have some sort of lame logistical bureaucratic blockade in effect there? I don't know, man. I mean, Sweden. How many times has Sweden been hit by terrorism? I know that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're bombed. There are many Muslim areas where there are constantly cars being set on fire. If I'm not mistaken. To be frank, I just think it's because it's a Muslim terrorist group. So maybe it's the soft bigotry of low expectations there, where a lot of Muslims have moved into Sweden, and the government and many of the people are afraid to seem racist or whatever word, even though Islam is not a race. But they're afraid to seem bigoted or what have you, or discriminatory in any manner, where they sort of just allow for certain laws to be broken, violations to be made, not by everybody, of course, not by all the immigrants, but by a certain percentage, whatever it may be. And they kind of try and sweep it under the rug to seem holier than thou, in that they're not stopping anyone from coming in, and they want to show, you guys want to show how liberal you are. Not you, obviously, but many Swedes. There's an attack recently. Twice by Islamists. The first one failed in one terrorist attack recently. What happened recently? Why? Man, there's too much news, man. There's too many things to know nowadays. It's fucking difficult. They're implementing a new law, though, to make it legal to be affiliated with ISIS, but it's a tad late. Yeah. Not recently, it was this summer. So, Orebro. Okay, you're like in the middle of the country between Stockholm and Gothenburg, right? Yeah. Brexit. Orebro. So John Nichols on Twitter, about the new Prime Minister of Iceland, Katrín Jakobsdóttir. He says that she's a 41-year-old democratic socialist, feminist, anti-militarist who says Iceland will expand its healthcare system, go farther than the Paris Accord in fighting climate change, and strive for increased gender equality. Interesting. I don't know. I guess when people say gender equality in certain countries, I think what they mean to say is equality of outcome, equity. If you really go down the list of what the law has to do with creating equal opportunities, it's pretty much, you can pretty much check them all off, if I'm not mistaken. Now, you might have individuals, heads of companies or what have you, that make decisions based on whatever's in their head, but to say that women don't have the same opportunities is, quite frankly, bullshit. I don't know. So so Sweden, what else is going on in Sweden? Sverige. I've wanted to go there for a long time. I'm a quarter Norwegian, so we're basically family. We might as well be. Same thing. Visit all the Nordic countries. Yeah. Finland is not considered a Nordic country, am I right? It's just Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. And then Finland and Iceland are part of Scandinavia as well, just not considered Nordic. I have a map somewhere. Yeah, man, it's a crazy world we live in. Did you guys see that Nike released a hijab, a sports hijab? I don't know if you guys saw that. Pretty bizarre, man. What's next? A Under Armour yarmulke? There's my joke of the day. Religious garb being released by sports companies. I don't know, man. Maybe Yves Saint Laurent will start performing bris at synagogue. Come get your bris here at Saks Fifth Avenue. That's a little bit creepy. What's the band you mentioned? Thanks for watching, by the way, guys. Oh, hey, I know there's only 3 of you guys, but definitely follow me on Instagram if you aren't already, at Beacom of Light. And my Twitter is at Taylor Beacom. I'm going to start using that more. Yeah, you saw the hijab thing? Yeah, man. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I don't know. I guess when you start learning about one of the main reasons for the hijab, if not the sole reason, or so I've heard from many Muslims, being that it's essentially to cover up the woman as to not entice a man, and that if a man were to sort of were to act on his desire to be with that woman, that it's her fault. So it's kind of like a real patriarchal way of slut shaming. And the ironic thing is that many of the feminists here in the West they're too afraid of offending brown people and Islam as a race, which is not, it's an ideology, to say anything about it, even though it falls perfectly in line with their narrative of being anti-patriarchal. Hysterical. If anyone has any song requests, let me know. This is my second live stream ever. I'll get better at it. All right. I was in Pakistan. You've been to Pakistan? Damn. Pakistan? Yeah. Evangelicals. You say evangelicals, but yeah, just the Islamists, the theocrats of Pakistan. Crazy stuff, man. Pakistan was fun? Okay. Yeah, if you go to a place like Islamabad or Karachi, I don't think it's necessarily fraught with ISIS guys or anything like that. To the naked eye, it's going to seem civilized. Roads, not everyone's in a cave. Yeah, in Karachi. Hey now, I think I discovered your channel when I was searching for Antifa stuff, by the way. Oh, hey, what's up? Where are you in the world? Thanks for being one of 3 people in here, by the way. How was Karachi? Yeah, I want to hear some more things about Karachi. I wish we could talk like an actual conversation, but this is the internet age, and our robot overlords will not allow it. So this is how it's going to be. Kind of like New York, but with a lot of paved roads and mules still running out. Really? Like New York? If there's a lot of homeless people, I guess, then any city is really like New York. Any city with a lot of homeless people, and maybe a certain airborne strain of Ebola. I'm sure they have that there. Unpaved, yeah. What's their version of Grand Central Station over there in Pakistan? Victoria Market. Yeah, of course it's called Victoria. So, if I'm not mistaken, Pakistan was created during civil unrest between Muslims and Hindus, and it was created to be this sort of little Pakistan. It's a stan, so it's Islamic, whereas India, their national religion is Hinduism. Although I think 20% of Indians are Islamic, so there's something like over 200 million Muslims in India. Yeah, Hinduism and Islam, just from a scriptural sort of, literal standpoint, are quite a bit different. Hinduism has multiple gods, and it has all these, at least the illustrations that I've seen are really cool and vibrant. And Islam is, haven't seen as many illustrations. They don't really like to draw their pal over there. Went to Goa. Yeah, what is that? Is that in the north somewhere? There's like rainforest and stuff. That's pretty cool. Well, again, I do want to thank everyone that's in here. We got a huge audience tonight, all the way up to 4 people, and that's really exciting. I just started this channel about 14 years ago, so things are just getting off the ground. It's going fine. I'm curious to know how the weather is in Sweden. I'm sure it's cold, but I do want to go over there at some point. As popular as Tim Pool? Yeah, sure. Tim does well, man. Consistent, hard worker. Was I ever in a band? I've played a little bit with a few people here and there, but I've never had a full blown band. I'd like to at some point, but it's a lot of time and effort. And in New York, it's difficult because you really have to rent a studio space. You can't just have a drum kit or something in your apartment. It's not easy. If you don't want to piss off your neighbors, because we're just crammed in between each other here. It's brutal, man. Plus, I want to travel. I don't want to really be tied down to anything too much. So, but yeah, that was Smoke on the Water, Deep Purple. That's one of the first songs I learned how to play, actually. Yeah, lots of great music in Brooklyn now. There's a lot of great music in New York in general, for sure. Definitely. Sometimes the live music venues here bother me a bit because the sound systems aren't always great, and a lot of the crowds at certain shows don't make it very enjoyable. I don't know, sometimes I have a hard time standing there when like some sweaty 17-year-old is bumping into you, and he's at the end of his acid trip and he's all freaking out, wigging out. I've known how to play the beginning of Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin for probably about 10 years now, and I haven't learned the rest of the song. That's the story of my guitar playing, pretty much. Yeah, man. I have a question for you guys. What the hell... do you guys remember the Fukushima disaster in Japan? The nuclear power plant all that time ago? Where is that stuff? If you look at these photos online of I think it's like a thermal photo that shows the radioactive waste leaking into the Pacific Ocean. It's everywhere now. It's just spread everywhere. Like I think it's affecting the fish, and it's certainly dense. The waste is dense off the coast of Fukushima, of course, off the coast of Japan. But why is no one talking? I know that we're all running through the 24-hour news cycle, like trying to figure out what the hell to do with our lives on a day-to-day basis. But this was back in 2011. right? So 6.5 years ago. And I'm wondering to myself, hello, do we just wrap a net around this shit? Saw someone drinking water from there to prove it was not a danger. Yeah, Boris Johnson. I'm looking at it right now. Boris Johnson, Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson, filmed drinking a can of peach juice from Fukushima, the Japanese region hit by a nuclear disaster following the 2011 earthquake and tsunami. Swigging from a can at the Foreign Office is Mr. Johnson, appearing to enjoy the drink. He says, oh, it's very good. Yum, he says, smiling to the camera. I wonder what kind of crap he's going to try to sell. I wouldn't be surprised, you know what? He's opening a freaking sushi restaurant. That's what he's doing. And he's going to sell all that disgusting mutated fish. All the ones with fingers for tails. I'll open up a restaurant. I would do it. You could probably get all this fish for cheap. Open up a restaurant. You can call it Chez Noble. Like the French take on Chernobyl. I bet the idiots in Malibu in California, they would eat it up, literally and figuratively. You get a bunch of TV executives that are all just like stupid morons and go there. I bet the fish is so mutated and alien that you could probably get some of the fish and the sea life to work at your restaurant. There's a dolphin in the back, cooking the food, smoking a cigarette. Can't wait to get off work. Looks like Michael J. Fox for some reason. I don't know where that came from. But yeah, Boris Johnson. He doesn't look like a very well kept guy, this Boris Johnson. Quite the hairdo. Oh, he says it's very good. Yeah. New news, Boris Johnson on a rampage. Boris Johnson grows 100 times his normal size and becomes a vampire with gills and is now running amok on the lower part of England. Yeah, it concerns me, man. It definitely concerns me a little bit. The Fukushima disaster. What the hell is going on there? Where is that stuff? Time to open a restaurant, man. Time to open a restaurant. So I just started doing stand-up comedy recently. So I've been in the comedy world for quite a while, working with some of the comedy clubs here in the city part-time. And I actually just started doing... So I did a couple open mics a while ago, a couple years ago. But I just started really trying to take it seriously. So maybe I could test out some material on you guys. But Yeah, it is awesome. Thank you. What I definitely want to do is, I don't know. One joke that I had that didn't go over so well at this one show that I did earlier today was that, after the recent attempted terrorist attack here and tested on social justice warriors, yeah, man, there's a, I'll tell you that other joke in just a second, but I was at an open mic at this, I won't name the venue, but this place downtown, a real just social justice cesspool. And again, a lot of these people are nice people. Many of them are right for certain things, but a lot of them are wrong for the right reasons. And I like to make a very specific differential there. A lot of people are good people. Some people are right for the wrong reasons, or vice versa. So. But there's this place downtown, man, and I went and I watched the open mic, and I had kind of gone there abruptly, and I couldn't get on stage that night because I didn't sign up online previously, but I'm sitting there watching the show, and I couldn't count on my hands and toes how many Trump jokes there were. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not pro-Trump, I'm not, but I'm also not like staunchly against everything he does all the time just because he's Trump. But these people were, and to see them over and over and over again, just like I mean, I'm pretty sure that completely separate people had jokes with no punchline, where they essentially went up there and they said, "How about Donald Trump?" and then expected a laugh from the audience, and they got it from a lot of people. But man, it's painful to watch, man. And I sit there like, do you have a joke? Like, we get it, man. You know, Donald Trump is a character. We fucking get it. He's orange, yeah. I heard that one today. But he's a creamsicle. I mean, I'll give him that. He's quite orange. He's got to do something about that jaundice or whatever's going on there. But yeah, I wanted to let you guys know that I will be doing more comedy and trying to incorporate. I want to try and make some more political and religious points with my comedy in a nuanced way, in a sophisticated way, in a way that's not entirely offensive to the point where people just completely shut off. You know, I want to try and make points and have them heard. Trump is basically Hitler, yeah. Well, so Sweden, if I'm not mistaken, they declared themselves neutral during World War II, but they aided Hitler's armies, if I'm not mistaken. So if that's true, you probably have a lot of Swedes. Yeah, you probably have a lot of Swedes that seem to think that they had something to do with World War II just because they're Swedish, even though they weren't alive then. It's such a strange association that makes. It's identity politics, man. They passed through Sweden to Norway or something. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, net neutrality is interesting to me. I haven't done a real deep dive into it, but it's slightly concerning what some people have been saying, where you're essentially so if you take something like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, one reason they were so popular and still are so popular is because they were decentralized, right? So they weren't regulated by any federal body, by any government, right? I don't know what you guys think about this, but is it possible that one reason why net neutrality was voted against is that a lot of these bureaucrats saw themselves losing control? Yeah, I want to learn more about the net neutrality decision, but one thing that I did hear is that the laws were essentially the same 2 years ago, and then the Obama administration passed a law for net neutrality. I don't know, man. I don't want to lie and say that I'm super informed about everything, but yeah, it's definitely concerning. Definitely concerning. Yeah, this idea that words are violence is really interesting to me as well. I don't know, like, next time an intruder breaks into my house, well, I say next time as though it's happened before. It's never happened. But if I'm ever confronted in a way that I need to defend myself, that's the perfect time to use words then, right? Like, if words are violence, then I guess I could stop a perpetrator by just shaming him, you know? Just call him fat. You're fat, intruder person. You know, you're a minority, so you should feel bad. Good, I got a laugh out of the Swedish person. Cool. Hey, if 1 person out of 4 people in my live stream are laughing, then I'm going to crush when I do huge comedy clubs, man. Because that's the plan. That's the plan. In fact, I had to do a little demonstration tonight for a small audience when I was on stage. I told them that what I wanted to do was practice getting comfortable. So I laid down. There was a cool Muslim female comedian. Those words together, I've never seen them together before. What are they? Who's the cool Muslim comedian? I literally just Googled cool Muslim female comedian. Maysoon Zaid? Palestine? You tell me. Something tells me there are not that many. You know, like if you're talking about white male comedians, we are a dime a dozen. But if you're talking about like a hijab wearing woman, she called Muslims muzzles. I don't know if I understand that. What's her name? I'd like to look up the comedy. Muzzies. Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, Bitcoin is really interesting to go back to that because I don't know, like I don't know if I'm wrong here, but there are many aspects to globalism that I'm opposed to. You know, open borders, one world currency, you know, some sort of unified global government controlling everything where everyone's votes from all over the world go into one pot. You know, I'm at this point in time opposed to that. But then when I think about cryptocurrencies, actually really like the idea on its face because it's decentralized. It's not controlled by a particular government body. It has one monetary value on its own. And then, of course, you can transfer it and sell it back into other currencies. But you can trade with that online, and it I don't know. But it also shares certain principles of globalism in that it crosses borders. You know, I can't take a U.S. dollar and use it in France. It doesn't work like that. Interesting. I don't know enough about it though, man. Once you start talking about blockchain, that's when I get a little confused. You hate to say it given what's happened, but Louis C.K. is the best comedian. There's no doubt in my mind that Louis C.K. is one of the funniest people on the planet, and I still think he's fantastic. I'm glad he didn't hurt anybody. He didn't rape anybody. And when I say he didn't hurt anybody, I'm sure scarred some people mentally, but he didn't touch anyone, which is good. And there are levels to the sexual assault and harassment fiasco that we're dealing with here in the West. I call it a fiasco. There's most certainly not a rape epidemic or anything like that. It's not like hordes of men are roaming the streets and just raping people all over the place. But clearly there's a problem with certain men in power, left and right, on the political divide that are invading the space of women and men in Kevin Spacey's case. So the Muslim comedian is Nejin Farzad. Let me see if I can see. Farzad. Oh, she has a TED Talk. Yeah. Okay, so she doesn't wear a hijab. So she has a TED Talk, a highly scientific taxonomy of haters. Cool. I'm gonna watch this. And she has an actual TED Talk, not TEDx. So there's TED and then there's TEDx. And TEDx is like, like franchising out. The TED has franchised out the name, and TEDx is like an independent version of TED where it's not sponsored directly by the higher ups at the TED companies. If you guys don't know, I'm sure you do though, because all of my viewers are ridiculously intellectually stimulated types. TED is technology, education, and design. Education, entertainment, and design? Technology, entertainment, and design, I think it is. So much for me being intellectual. But, I mean, there's just so many really great talks, TED Talks out there. And the more highly sponsored and those with more clout end up speaking at TED proper and not the TEDx smaller events that happen throughout the year in a larger multitude than the regular TED Talks, but which doesn't mean that the TEDx speakers aren't freaking awesome, but if this lady got an actual TED Talk, then she must be up to snuff. So I'll definitely have a listen to her when I get the chance. She was making fun of stereotypes of Muslims. The first TED Talk I saw was Shane Kochzan? Koizan? I don't know who that is. But yeah, the Islam is a difficult subject. It's dense, and I wonder how many people know. Obviously, I'm not talking about Muslims here, but I wonder how many non-Muslims in the world know the difference between Sunni and Shia. I wonder how many non-Muslims in the world know the history of Islam and how it's 600 years younger than Christianity and some of the fundamental differences. Do certain non-Muslims know about the Hijra? I think it's called the Hijra. It's basically named after Muhammad's first trip from Mecca to Medina. So the Quran starts off in Mecca and then he goes to Medina. I don't want to talk about the whole book, but I feel like a lot of people don't know about these things. They don't know about Aisha, his second bride, who was 6 when he married her and then 9 when they consummated the marriage. Now there's a passage that talks about how he kind of struck her. Am I a believer? I'm not a believer. No, I'm not. I see no logical conclusion to affirming that there is an afterlife or a God. I don't discount it. I don't. Well, so there's a quote, I think it was Bertrand Russell, or maybe it was like Christopher Hitchens or something, where he says, what extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And that's one quote, but there's another one I'm thinking of, which is, what can be asserted without proof can be dismissed without proof. So I don't know if there's an afterlife. I think it's highly unlikely. And there are plenty of signs that point to no. And as far as a God, how can I believe in a God when their kid, like thousands of kids under the age of 4 die every day? I mean, suffering, what kind of God would allow that to happen? And you have, it's tough. It's tough for me. Actually, it's not that tough for me. I like not believing in God. It doesn't mean I don't have morals. It means that I see no rational conclusion. I don't see it as rational to come to the conclusion that there is a God. One of my favorite quotes is Marcus Aurelius, the old Roman emperor and great warman. He said, if there are gods and they are just, then they will welcome you based on the virtues you've lived by. If there are gods and they are unjust, then you should not want to worship them. And if there are no gods, then you will be gone, but you will live on in the memory of your loved ones. Pretty good, pretty solid quote, Marcus. Marky Mark. Marcus Aurelius, Marky Mark. Yeah, they're the same person. Marcus Aurelius, Mark Wahlberg. Same person. Same person. You're an atheist. Yeah, so Sweden has one of the largest atheist populations, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, hi, Marky Mark. Wow, there's a bunch of jokes there. Well, the typical relativism, violent leftists point out that Muhammad married and had sex with a child. It was normal back then. That's the soft bigotry of low expectations, man. It's when you have a group of people that you see as historically disenfranchised or what have you, and there's some reason to not expect a group or a people that hasn't been raised like you in the same environment as you to act like you. But when you're talking about raping kids, no. Bye-bye. You're raping kids? Bye-bye. You rape a kid, I'll pay to watch, and I wouldn't pay, but I will gladly watch someone just kick that person off of a cliff. Bye-bye. Bye. Raping kids? Bye-bye. Nope. Not on my watch, man. Brutal. Typical relative. Yeah. I had to get my friends to explain sort of. Jack, you had to get your friends to explain several times to you the difference between Christians and Muslim? Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of a difference. A little bit of a difference. Muhammad, not exactly a stone carpenter type dude. Yeah. Kind of liked his sword. Was pretty big into the battle stuff. Yeah, warlord he was. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna watch this chick. Yeah, I do sound like an asshole. Nejin Farsad. Definitely watch that once I'm done with the live stream. Hey man, thanks again for being here. This whammon. Yeah. That's a PewDiePie reference. Muslims believe Jesus was the Messiah and that Jesus will return. Right. Yeah. So Muslims do acknowledge Jesus. I think the difference is that Muhammad was the last and final prophet and the greatest one. So there are no other prophets after Muhammad. There can't be. Muhammad made sure his buddies wrote in a clause. Muhammad is kind of like the Putin of religious figures. Like Putin essentially got himself voted in for a third term. Yeah, well, Muhammad voted himself in for fucking ever. Muhammad is the Putin of yeah, man. Muhammad. You know, one of the only times. So I think he was. Some certain Muslims like to say that he was an environmentalist, and I think there's a few passages in the beginning, a few surahs in the beginning of the Quran, in the Mecca portion, where he talks about how he loved the trees and the grass and how beautiful it was. And sure, I'm all for that. But yeah, I don't know if I really had a point there. I guess it's kind of like all that talk about environmentalism is kind of discounted by the passages later in the Quran where he talks about slaying the unbelievers where you find them and so on. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of bullshit in the Bible, there's a lot of bullshit in the Old Testament and so on, but again, the Quran doesn't allow for reformation. The Hadiths state that you can't reform the Quran. Yeah, Jesus seemed like a pretty cool dude, not gonna lie. Jesus is considered a prophet in the Quran, but just that, not the creator like in the Bible. Yeah, right. yeah, it's all iffy stuff, man. I don't know. So I always like to tell people a Sam Harris analysis. He talks about how, if you don't know Sam Harris, definitely look him up. He talks about how religion, we use the term religion like we use the term sports. You have badminton and Muay Thai kickboxing. They're both sports, but the only thing they have in common is breathing, right? Well, you also have, Islam is the Muay Thai of religion. You know, you don't have Jains, which is a religion in India, Jainism, 1% of India, which at the core of their doctrine is complete pacifism. You don't have them going out and blowing people up. There are other cases of other people of certain creeds doing it, but you also have to make the connection between that creed and their actions. The connections between belief and actions, between doctrine and actions. So when you have a group like the Tamil Tigers in India who have committed certain acts of terror, you have to show me where in the Bhagavad Gita or like any of the Hindu central Hindu texts where it says to go and commit these acts of violence. Well, I can point to where it says to do these things in the Quran, just like I can point to where it says not to mix cloths in the Bible. That makes the connection between the doctrine and the actions that much stronger if the doctrine is telling someone to go do these things. So it is a bit silly when you hear people trying to make the analysis and the judgment that they're Christian terrorists doing all these things, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, there are certainly people that are Christians that say they're doing these things in the name of God, and I criticize Christianity in a similar fashion to the way I criticize other religions in general. But the difference is you can't open the Bible and point to a passage that says to slay the unbelievers where you find them, smite them at their necks, and so on. What's my opinion of Flan? Flan's good, man. Flan's good. Rick Clark. What is that? SpongeBob? What's going on, Falun Gong cult? What the fuck? What is your... Please explain your name if you're in here still. My opinion of Flan is very high. So the difference between Flan and Islam is that Flan is good for you. I don't know how long I could sit there. You're still here. What's up with the name Falun Gong cult? I don't know what that is. If any of you guys, so this is going to be my first shameless plug for donations. If anyone can donate to my PayPal, you can buy me. Oh, thank you very much, Jack. Jack, you've donated before. Good man. If any of you guys can donate to really help me like buy some new equipment and allow me to do this full time, that'd be awesome. I don't care. Shame is gone, man. Shame is gone for me. No pride, none of it. So paypal.me/Beacom of Light. That would be freaking awesome. And then I can do this full time, and then I can try and bring you guys more content. I plan on traveling quite a bit. We've just hit the hour mark on this live stream, and I think I'm gonna call it quits shortly here. And I want to thank you guys so much. I know we're small at this point, but I still do want to uphold my initial channel's tagline, which was fighting hyperbole and hypocrisy. And I want to do that with humor. I want to do that with objective analysis. I want to do that with discussion and debate and dissent and all this stuff. And I can do more of it with your help. So if you're able to donate, paypal.me/Beacom of Light, that'd be fucking awesome. I have a Patreon as well. I'm not so active on the Patreon thing. There's been some controversy with Patreon recently, and I also don't want to. I don't want to sort of, you know, by. I don't want to force anyone to pay for a piece of work that I've done. Like, I don't want to force anyone to pay by piece of work. I don't even know fucking how it works, man. But if you guys want to donate, do it through the PayPal. That would be really awesome. PayPal.me/Beacom of Light. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Like this video. Share my other content. I want to travel around the world. I want to end up in the position of someone like an Anthony Bourdain or, I don't know. I want to travel and I want to get unique perspective on different cultures, and I want to learn about their politics and religion. I want to do it here in the U.S. as well. But I also want to incorporate some comedy and history and just a sort of a broad encompassing of information and news and science and just all of the bigger subjects. And I want to tell people like Kim Kardashian and those that are saturating our young people's minds and even old people in this world to go fuck themselves because they're worthless pieces of shit and they don't help anybody. Falun Dafa anti-Chinese government. Yeah, you know what? I think I heard about that. Falun Gong cult. Meditation hateful extremist line cult. Falun believe meditation can heal people. Falun anti-China government. Just in 5 bucks. Oh, that's awesome, man. Don't use it for blowing hookers. Oh man, you might want to take it back. Okay, all right, I won't. I promise I won't. No, that's awesome, man. I really appreciate that, and that really is amazing. So thank you, Rich Clark. Where are you from? Falun Gong cult. Can I just call you? Can I call you Steve Falun Gong cult? I don't want to say that every time. I feel like I'm summoning some sort of fucking demon. Falun Gong cult. Falun Gong cult. Song requests, I'll be happy to take them and fumble to look them up online to figure out how to play them right now. So if anyone has any song requests, since I just know every song, let's hear it. I used to listen to Incubus a lot back in the day. If you guys listen to them, I can play pretty much every song by them. Fuck. I don't care about the guitar anyway. Cool. Falun Gong, I'm going to call you Steve. That's good. Stevie, Steve, whatever you prefer. You're from Cali originally. Yeah, I lived in Los Angeles for about 6 years. What a shithole. I'll never go back. It's burning right now. Good. No, I'm joking. Of course I'm fucking joking. It's not that great of a place, but the weather's nice and I have some good friends there. Do I know any Tool? Ha ha ha. Funny. I don't know if you can see behind me. That's a painting by Alex Jones, who did the artwork for most of Tool's music. Actually, probably just one album, Lateralis. Yeah, do you have a specific song? I know a lot of Tool. The Tool songs are actually pretty simple. Adam Jones plays in drop D, and he does a lot of these like bar chords. So you're basically just holding your one finger over the lowest 3 strings. You know, stuff like that. How about Rage Against the Machine? Easy for you to say, you genius. What else do I know by Tool? What's up, Andrew? Cool. Definitely cool to end this live stream with a little bit of Tool. You guys are awesome, man. Hey, I'm peacing out, but have a wonderful evening. Mr. Swedish person, hej då, I believe is how you say goodbye in Swedish. Take care, guys. See you later.